This is Valley News Live at 10.
It's sad that a young man lost his life the way it did. I'm sure there are people in this area that are scared now.
On Friday night, a man was shot and killed in Moorhead near the 3000 block of 17th Street South. After the shooting, a bystander attempted to help save the victim's life. Now that bystander is speaking out. Valley News Team's Aaron Walling has the story.
I see a man laying face down in some grass. I knew what had happened.
Logan Swayzer was there Friday night in an attempt to help a man who died after being shot near the 3000 block of 17th Street South. And now there is a homicide investigation opened up by the Moorhead Police Department.
I heard 3 gunshots, and for a split second I wanted to be in denial that those weren't gunshots in my own neighborhood.
Swayzer said that the victim was a young black male. At the scene where he died, there is still blood on the ground.
In a situation like this, there's really nothing you can say like this. It's a tragic incident for that family, and they're going through a really tough loss right now.
Swayzer described the scene as quiet with officers swarming the area, and that this weekend has been long in processing of what transpired.
Felt guilty, thinking, what could I have done? Could I have done anything different? But then after the fact, now I know that I did what I could. The officers did what they could, and EMS did what they could, and it was just really unfortunate.
Swayzer now just wants to see justice brought to the young man that died on Friday night.
I hope they get the guy who did this. I hope justice is served.
In Moorhead, Aaron Walling, Valley News Live.
Anyone with information regarding this case is asked to call the Red River Regional Dispatch at 701-451-7660. And a Grand Forks man is now in jail for the part he played in the shooting death of a woman early this morning. 26-year-old Ahmed Abdullahi is in police custody and is now facing preliminary charges for manslaughter, a felony for possession of a firearm, and theft of property. Shortly after 1:30 a.m., authorities say they responded to a 911 call at a residence in the 1300 block of 8th Avenue North on a report of a suspicious person at the location. When they arrived, Abdullahi and the woman were inside the home and appeared to be having an argument. Officers say they then heard a gunshot and the woman was seen leaving the home before falling to the ground. The woman was transported to a local hospital where she later died. GFPD says Abdullahi came out of the home on his own and was arrested immediately. Authorities are still investigating the exact relationship between Abdullahi and the victim, but they believe both were known to each other prior to the incident. Court records show Abdullahi pled guilty for felony simple assault and criminal trespassing back in 2016. Most recently, he also pled guilty to terrorizing after he was suspected of threatening to shoot up the Rumors Sports Bar in Grand Forks. A 19-year-old man was stabbed in Grand Forks today. Law enforcement say they were called to meet at a vehicle that was driving to a local hospital to be treated for the stabbing. They later determined the man had been stabbed at a South End location. Officers later located the scene of the incident, and a person of interest was taken into custody. Currently, there's no word on the victim's condition. Grand Forks police say they responded to multiple overdoses last night, including one resulting in a death. Police say several victims ingested what was believed to be heroin, causing them to overdose and requiring medical attention. GFPD believes the particular drug may be a much more powerful opiate that may have caused the overdoses. Law enforcement is urging citizens to refrain from using any drugs or medication that is not from a doctor or a pharmacy. Grand Forks PD and Narcotics Task Force are actively investigating to determine the origin of the drugs involved in these overdoses. 3 people were hurt in a 2-vehicle crash in Beltrami County this morning. According to the police report, a car and an SUV were traveling east on Highway 197 in Bemidji around 9:30 a.m. when the vehicles eventually collided. A 2-year-old child was among those injured. The United States has crossed the 41 million COVID-19 case milestone. After a slow and steady decline in the spring, cases have started to increase during the summer. South Dakota, West Virginia, and North Dakota have seen 4-week increases in cases of COVID-19, rising by 402%, 378%, and 321% respectively. A small group of Republican state lawmakers are calling for a special session specifically to respond to President Joe Biden's vaccine mandate and the effects it would have on the economy. Some of the lawmakers at the briefing have been joining protests outside of hospitals against requiring their workers to get vaccinated. Other members of Republican leadership have spoken against the mandates, but they have not indicated if they're open to a special session.
I think we're making decisions that are going to affect us, and we need to get together and talk about it. Have some experts come into like our meetings for subcommittee and talk about whether it's a good thing or not a good thing.
The group added they have not had extended conversations with legislative leadership about the Assembly's option. Meanwhile, the U.S. Capitol Police announced their internal investigation related to the attack on January 6th is complete. They are recommending that 6 officers be disciplined for their actions during the attacks. The internal investigation took place after a criminal investigation finished by the Department of Justice with no charges filed. According to the report, in 3 of those cases, officers behaved in a manner unbecoming of a Capitol Police officer. In other cases, officers failed to comply with directives and participated in improper remarks. Following the somber ceremonies marking the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, overnight the FBI released one of the documents related to that investigation. It is the first of many documents expected to be released in the coming months after President Biden ordered their declassification last week. The document included a report from 2016 which provides details of the FBI's work to investigate the role of the Saudi government in the attacks. The report did not find any evidence that the Saudi leaders were involved, but did say Saudi nationals played a pivotal role in funding al-Qaeda. September is National Suicide Awareness Month, and today the Out of the Darkness walk at the Shields Arena brought people together in honor of the cause. Valley News Team's Alex Larson has more.
Hosted by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, the Out of the Darkness walk attracted a crowd. Those walking were doing it for the loss of a family member, their own personal struggle, or just to support suicide prevention.
It's emotional, it's very moving. Everyone's here for the same cause.
Tents around the arena let attendees pick up colored honor beads to signify who they are walking for.
Raise awareness about suicide prevention, save lives, and give hope to all of those that are suffering from depression, anxiety, anything mental health that's health.
In one tent, people could hang up names and pictures of their reason to participate.
Today, I lost my son in 2019, and it's just a way for us to help maybe stop somebody else from doing that, saving someone else's life.
We're told all money raised will help the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention invest in life-saving research, education, and support for those impacted by suicide. Alex Larson, Valley News Live.
Now, Out of the Darkness hosts over 400 walks like this one across the country. Later on Valley News Live at 10, Southwest says in-flight alcohol service isn't expected to return until 2022. But up next, you may not need an umbrella for your morning commute, but keep it handy as you may need it later in the evening.